Hello and welcome to Short Stories. This series is produced by the Language Center at the National Taichung University of Science and Technology. Today's story is called The Spendthrift and the Swallow. This fable tells the sad tale of someone who is too quick to make optimistic assumptions and pays the price. Vocabulary: creditor. Creditor. Patrick owes a lot of money to his creditors. Dilapidated. Dilapidated. The dilapidated building was finally torn down. Haggle. Haggle. The merchants haggled over the price of eggs. Inherit. Inherit. Patrick inherited the family farm after his father died. Mortgage. Mortgage. Patrick mortgaged his farm to pay his creditors. See eye to eye. See eye to eye. Mike and Jim don't see eye to eye on how to run their business. Spendthrift. Spendthrift. Tesla makes a lot of money by selling cars to spendthrifts. Thoroughbred. Thoroughbred. 100 thoroughbreds competed in the Kentucky Derby. That is the end of the vocabulary. Now Derek will begin the story.
Once upon a time, there was a young man named Spatolin. He was the son of a very wealthy aristocrat named Philargeron. The two did not see eye to eye on many things, but the biggest source of conflict between them was money. "I didn't work my butt off for this money, just so you can waste it betting on horse races." Philargeron would bellow at his son. "Relax, Pops." Spatolin would retort, "You own half the silver mines in Attica. Your money literally comes right out of the ground." Philargeron could only grumble and curse. "You are a lousy spendthrift." When his father died, Spatolin inherited a huge fortune. Being raised in luxury, he knew very little about how to properly manage his finances. One of the first things he did with his inheritance was buy a second house in downtown Athens. He did this primarily so he could be closer to the hippodrome during horse racing season. Since this was a popular district, the only available house was a dilapidated apartment block. The real estate agent showed him this building and said, "I know it's not much, but my client is willing to sell it for." But the agent didn't have time to finish his sentence before Spatolin whipped out his wallet and cried, "Shut up and take my money." The agent was a bit taken aback by this, but was pleased to take the money. The second thing he did was buy his own racehorse. The horse merchant, sensing that Spatolin was an easy mark, convinced him to buy an old cart horse, claiming, "This is the best thoroughbred in my stable. His name is Argia, and he has never lost a race." Of course, the horse merchant neglected to mention that Argia had never competed in a horse race before. Spatolin bought the horse on the spot without haggling. The horse merchant was very pleased. The third thing Spatolin did with his money was invested in his friend's new business. "Check this out, bro," his friend said. "I got this awesome idea to mint my own currency. It's made of little bits of lead that I painted gold. I call it Bitcoin." Spatolin handed over half his fortune without further questioning. In addition to all these things, Spatolin also spent his money in the ways most undisciplined young men do. He ate at fancy restaurants, doted on multiple girlfriends, paid for a membership at the local gymnasium, and handed out money to anyone who would ask just so he would look like a cool dude. Pretty soon his fortune was gone, and the silver couldn't come out of the mines fast enough to keep up with his spending. So Spatolin mortgaged these mines. A year later, the mortgages were due, but since he had no cash on hand, his creditors seized the mines, his house, his horse, and everything else he owned. His friends abandoned him. His girlfriends disappeared. And now Spatolin was penniless and homeless. Spatolin spent the winter in utter misery. "At least I still have my coat," he said to himself. But he was terribly hungry. I'd sell my coat for a bowl of stew, he moaned. But of course, he didn't dare to do that during the dead of winter. By April, things had warmed up a little. The winter clouds moved north and gave way to the spring sunshine. While walking down the street, Spatolin spied a swallow sitting in a tree. "The swallows have returned," he said. "That means summer is around the corner. I won't need this coat anymore." He immediately went to his favorite restaurant and convinced the owner to trade a bowl of stew for his coat. Spatolin grinned and rubbed his belly. But this feeling of satisfaction didn't last long. The next day, a cold snap fell upon the city. A light frost covered the streets, the buildings, and the trees. Shivering under one of these trees was Spatolin, who, when he spied the swallow again, noticed that it was dead. "You stupid swallow," he said through his chattering teeth. "Thanks to you, I'm freezing to death too."
Questions. Number 1. What was Spatolin's favorite hobby? A. Poker. B. Horse racing. C. Golf. D. Skiing. Well, these are all expensive hobbies, but Spatolin's favorite was B. Horse racing. Question 2. Why didn't Spatolin and his father see eye to eye? A. They supported rival political parties. B. They liked different kinds of music. C. They had different attitudes about money. D. One was much taller than the other. The answer is C. They had different attitudes about money. Question 3. Why did Spatolin trade his coat for some stew? A. He thought his coat was ugly. B. He thought the stew would make him rich. C. He thought the stew chef looked cold. D. He thought he didn't need it anymore. The answer is D. He thought he didn't need it anymore. Question 4. What is probably the moral of this story? A. Ignorance is bliss. B. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. C. A rising tide lifts all boats. D. One swallow does not make a summer. Well, the title of this story is a clue to the answer, which is D. One swallow does not make a summer.